Well, it's Friday the 27th of November. Neptune stations direct today. The vortex of feeling its retrograde movement may have produced will begin to calm. Big dreams and big ideas are the order of the day. This is episode 2047 of 301 Permanently Moved to Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded and edited by me at the JMO. Just a quick note to say that my first ever published science fiction story is out now in the anthology And Lately the Sun, Speculative Fictions for a Climate Thrash World. It's a solarpunk cli-fi story co-written with Andrew Dana Hudson called In a Storm of Fire, a tense thriller set in a near-future America with fascist characteristics. It's available on Kindle for now, with more outlets coming soon for those who prefer non-Amazon sources. Links in the show notes. There's two articles that I'd like to talk about this week. The first is an old 2001 piece on Gizmodo by Sam Bindle called The New Internet Will Make You Sad Forever, writing about the emergence of web tools like TimeHop and Facebook Timeline. It also addresses Instagram filters and the emergence of millennial faux nostalgia. Bindle writes, "The web is an empty nostalgia factory. When everything is worth becoming a memory, what's that say about remembrance? If everything is the object of nostalgia and reminiscence, then I don't really know what those things mean anymore. It would seem to mean nothing." I'm reminded of Nathan Jurgensen in his social photo series written around the same time. Filtered photos were popular because they place yourself and your present into the context of the past, the authentic, the important and the real, despite the air of the past authenticity that filters provided being entirely simulated. Then, citing Jameson, we draw back from our immersion in the here and now and grasp it as a kind of thing at the moment of application of the filter on an image. Bindle also explains that tools like TimeHop re-expose pre-nostalgic content over and over. We spoon-feed ourselves these bits of personal history because everything happens too fast to eat something better. The web churns, and we churn with it. Our lives are often accelerated beyond the ability to stop and appreciate anything, let alone discern the meaningful. For me, a key element of the web is that digital and material realities dialectically co-construct one another. So if you are posting and consuming content on the web without meaning, then in my opinion, meaning slips away in the material too. There are lots of personalities grifting online right now, puzzling through the so-called meaning crisis in Western culture, a discourse I actually have a lot of time for. Their diagnosis and exploration of solutions is far more interesting to me than their actual proposals. Many of them seem to be stripping meaning-making mechanisms from spiritual toolkits, and I don't think it's going to work, but I wish them luck. I recently read another article on Outline.com by Tom Wyman called Everything Happens So Much, Our Experience of Calendar Time Has Become Unmoored. We may need to consider an alternative. It opens with a joke about how 2018 seemed about 1,000 years ago, and last week was also about 1,000 years ago. The post is from 2019, but it's very relevant considering the wider internet's jokes about the year that has been 2020. By way of Mark Fisher, Wyman says that we now exist in a general condition in which life continues, but time has somehow stopped. The trajectory of the future has disappeared, and with it culture has lost the ability to grasp and articulate the present. Because on the internet, everything happens so much. If everything never stops happening, then it must become impossible to get a proper sense of when anything in particular started, or ended, or was going on, or whatever. Wyman goes on to say that the internet, for the most part, runs parallel to the everyday, and this dislocation is happening because the internet hasn't yet sucked everyone in. Unless you are extremely online, whole swathes of culture can blossom and die in a single day, without you ever becoming aware of them. He also brings up the phenomenon of endless rolling news on live blogs. Who has time or mental space to follow constant rolling news about Brexit, for example? So we have two problems: pre-nostalgic experience, content recycled back to the present, and the endless churn of the online present, where everything happens so much. I would also add that the move to algo content has further caused dislocation of narrative and chronology. As a solution, Wyman suggests that we start indexing our lives to the rhythms not of the clock or of the sun or of the rotation of the Earth's axis, but to the internet itself. I can't think of anything worse. I disagree with this solution. The internet isn't all one thing, and it certainly isn't what happens in your corner of the internet. As Diogo Vav commented to me on Twitter, the solution is actually the source of the problem. We're already clocking ourselves to internet time. Instead of 3 major events per year, there are 2,000. If your neighbour keeps up with 10, and you with the other 10, your shared sense of history disappears. Indexing your life to the internet would be like indexing your life to the weather. It's raining over here right now, but it's sunny over there. If digital and material realities dialectically co-construct one another, then the weather on the social media will also bleed through into real life. But you don't need to stand out in the rain to know it's raining.